Let's take a look at playbooks. So we have an inventory, and we know that Ansible has commands. When you combine the inventory and commands in a file, you can create a sequenced, standard, automated way to deploy software, remove software, change environments, change systems. It's really only limited to what you are capable of doing in your infrastructure via remote commands. As long as you can call a remote command on one of your nodes, you can configure Ansible to do that for you in an automated way. So playbooks are Ansible's configuration, deployment, and orchestration language, and they come in the YAML format. They can describe a policy that you want remote systems to enforce, or a set of steps for any IT process. They have a minimal or a minimum syntax and are easily human read. And so it's not a programming language or a script, but it's more like a model for a configuration or a process that your staff will be able to pick up really quickly and deploy. As soon as one person starts using it, I think everyone else in the firm is going to start wanting to use it too. We're going to install the network time protocol on our nodes. So we have our inventory, and I went ahead and wrote a YAML playbook. So we'll go through that, and then we'll run it to see if we're successful or not. Okay. YAML, if you're not familiar with it, is a markup language, and it is yet another markup language, and it has certain functional or formats that are required. Every true YAML file starts with 3 dashes. Dashes then indicate the beginning of sections. Colons indicate the end of a label, followed by a value. And equal signs indicate a variable, followed by also a value, variable label and a variable value. Indentation is very important. You don't have to do brackets or close or open brackets, but if your indentation is off, then the YAML file won't be read. Okay, so let's take a look at what's happening here. First of all, we're setting our scope based on our inventory. Almost every playbook begins with this. You can indicate individual servers, all servers. In our case, we could just say the web servers or the single HA proxy server. Whatever we have set up in our inventory, our etc Ansible host file. In this case, we want all of our servers to be targeted. When Ansible runs, we want it to become the root user. We've already set up our SSH keys. We know that connectivity exists because of our Ansible ping command. And then we have some variables that we declare. So these variables are the NTP server names. So for network time protocol, we want to use these 4 servers in a round robin fashion. Next comes our tasks, what we want to do. These begin with a name, and the name should be descriptive because this will be not only self-documenting, but also give you feedback during the run. The first thing is to check and install NTP client package. And what we're doing here is saying call yum, look for the NTP package, and make sure it's present. We're not saying any logical looping, if found, then install, if not, don't. But we're just saying make sure it's present. And what Ansible will do, will skip it if it's present, and we'll install if it's not. We could put here latest instead, so we could say NTP update to the latest version. I'm going to keep it like this for now, knowing that our nodes all need to have it installed. But when you don't know the more generic you can be, the more, you can assume that all of your infrastructure is standard. They've all been deployed the same way, but they probably haven't. You're going to run into anomalies. You're going to run into someone did something manually and it doesn't match what your automation strategy was meant to do. So the more generic and broad you can make your commands, the more likely you're going to catch those anomalies. All right, our second task is to deploy the NTP conf.file to our hosts. And here we're using the template command. So we're saying the source of our template, of these templates, is in our Ansible templates ntp.j2 file. This is a Python readable template file, and we'll look at it in just a second, but it will have space for all of these variables. And we want on the targeted hosts for it to be written to the ntp.conf directory, owned by root, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the last thing we're going to do is make sure that NTP is running and enabled, which we're going to call the system control service, look for the NTPD daemon, make sure that it's restarted. So we're going to restart it. If it's not running, if it's running, either way, we're just going to restart it. Again, that's a broad way to catch everything, and that it's enabled, so on next startup, it will also be started the next time the host is rebooted. All right, I didn't make any changes, but we'll do that for safety's sake. And let's go look at those templates. Okay, and here you can see an NTP config file. I just took this, I installed it on a server and then grabbed it, took out all the comments, and added these variables. So our YAML file will populate these variables with the values indicated. Okay, let's run it. We run it with Ansible Playbook, and then simply call the YAML file. Where am I here? Okay, I'll do it this way. Yeah, Ansible Playbook, playbooks, NTP. Okay, let's see what this looks like. So starting by gathering facts, which will indicate if all the servers have been found. They sure have. Next, as you can see, we're getting our task with the label that tells us what's happening. So Yum should be running on these two nodes to install NTP now. The playbooks, as you saw, are sequential. You're not doing substatements or jumping around. We'll look at playbooks in a little more depth. There, you can do a lot with them. There's a lot of post tasks and pre tasks and checks, and you can really use the playbooks to help create your QA and create some testing, or help your QA along. So the DevOps way is to architect, engineer, test, and deploy all within the same life cycle, all within the same people. Okay, so we've both have been changed. The comp file has been changed, and look, it looks good. No errors. So if I run Ansible all, shell with the command NTP Q. I think that does it. Let's see if I got that correct. No. Not dash all, regular all. I should get, hopefully, something saying that NTP is up and running on both servers. Yeah. It's a little slow, but NTP is identical. Well, not identical, but we can see it's definitely running. It's installed. And let's just do date. We should see the same date and time on both of our servers. Exactly. All right. So that is the beginning introduction to an Ansible playbook.